Hi kids, Heidi here. Welcome to my channel, Restyle Secrets. I think that some of you may be new visitors to my little spot in the internet space. I have been a reseller on eBay and Poshmark for about 6 years. I sell mostly clothing, but I dabble in a few other things that are easy to ship mostly. But I was thrilled when Keegan, the teen reseller, asked me to participate in his collab video because I had watched the ones from last year that Kelly Schaffner coordinated. She's fun too. And I'm hoping to find some other new resellers on YouTube that I have not experienced before, but you're here for mine Bolo video. Bolos of 2023, things I was looking for and found, and what are my bolos, my be on the lookout brands for next year, 2024. We always have something in mind that we wish we could find, something we want to manifest, or just, see other people find it and think, why can't I find that? Oh, that would be thrilling. Maybe you love the brand itself, or you just know it's worth a lot of money, or it sells fast, or whatever the reason you choose a bolo. I have a little bit of a different take on it because you already know a whole bunch of fabulous brands, whatever makes it fabulous for you, that you might put on your bolo list. But I'd like to show you some bolos that you might not hear other places. I've said this many times before. Many of my greatest flips were things that I had never heard of before. And I have watched a lot of YouTube resellers, thrift hauls, what solds, bolo lists over my 6 years. So I've heard of a lot of brands, and a lot of them I haven't found yet. But some of my best flips were things maybe nobody else has pointed out to you. And I think they could be things you could find. So that's what I want to share of the items I found in 2023. And I will put up pictures and labels as we go along. So some of the bolos that I found this year that I was very happy about, but I'm not going to go into detail on because you've heard of them. Veronica Beard. I found 2 Veronica Beard items in the same day. Wow. One of them has sold for $70 for a sweater. Yay. Rothy's. I found my first pair of Rothy's. They came in a thread-up box. Still have not found them in the wild, as they say. Tilly, which is a great hat brand, outdoor hats. Found 2 in one day. My husband took one. I sold the other one for about $70. Alice and Olivia, I have found 3 times in 2023. Only sold 1 so far. But you are officially warned that because I have found those brands, they're not going to be as popular as they used to be. I call it the Heidi rule. By the time I start finding it, nobody wants it anymore. So if you see me, my R's darting over there, it's because I've got some notes up on the screen. And sometimes I actually stare into the camera, which is probably creeps you out a little bit. But mostly I just stare at myself and go, geez, why didn't you fix your hair before you started this? Anyway, I want to share 5 brands that should be on your bolo list. They're items that I found this year, but I didn't know they were great until I found them for the first time. And in 2 cases, I've actually found them again. I'm including 3 women's items, women's clothing. 3 women's items. 1 is an accessory and 2 are clothes. 1 men's brand. I know you never look at the men's, but just in case you want to try that out, I've got 1 you could be looking for, and 1 hard goods item. It's a craft kit. And I probably sell 1 or 2 craft kits every month. So if that's something you would like to poke around in that aisle at Goodwill, I've got a tip for you there. So here's some bolos for you to jot down on your list. They're not designer or luxury brands, but things you can find, probably. They sold fast and for better money than typical in that category. So you're not going to make $150, but you're not going to pay up for them. And you will easily make $35, $40, $50. That's better than bread and butter. That's bread and jam and butter. That's what that is. So the first brand is Crimson Clover. And I'll put up pictures as we go along here. Their website says that they add performance, comfort, and style to your everyday adventures with mountain-inspired apparel. I have found one of their iconic quarter zips with a graphic design. And so here's their label, Crimson Clover. It's spelled with K's instead of C's. Their ski sweaters start at $149 and go up to $300 retail. Their plain base layers are retail for $80. The printed are $150. Leggings are $100. So you can see the retail is high, but the best part is the resale is good too. So check out their website so you know what kind of stuff they have. And I found one of their iconic quarter zips. Every year they issue one of these with a different print. And they're fun. They're kind of retro looking imagery. Kind of reminds me of the late 50s and early 60s with their après-ski designs. But the one I sold, or I bought it in May, probably, paid whatever I normally pay for quarter zips, $4 or $5 or $6. And I sold it in September for $58. And I had a lot of $10, $20, $25 offers, but I thought, I'm not going to sell this in the summer. Somebody's going to want it as we get into fall and winter because it's something you would wear for skiing, most likely, just for fun. And so I didn't accept any of those offers because I knew it was worth more. And I sold mine for $58. So be on the lookout for Crimson Clover. The next brand is Scoop, and that's spelled Skhoop. It's a Scandinavian company, I think Swedish, and they're famous for their original insulated skirt, they call it. They have polyester quilted mini skirts that retail for $139 and down midi skirts that go for $199. The item, I first found this brand last year, a pair of insulated pants, down insulated pants. So when and those sold for, I don't even remember, it was over $100 and very fast. But they were just hanging in the pants section. They weren't even in the outerwear section, probably because the down thin quilting was so thin that people didn't recognize them as like outdoor wear. But this year I found two quilted mini skirts, one hanging right next to another for $3.99 each. I found them in the spring and I just waited. I got some offers, but I waited. The retail on these little polyester quilted mini skirts is $139, and the down skirts, as I said, are $199 or so. I sold both of them in a bundle on Poshmark with a third item that was just a very cheap little blouse that I'd had forever. So when I calculated my percent off and everything, each skirt sold for $40. So be on the lookout for Scoop. And I don't even think you have to comp it. I would get anything with that label. To people in warmer climates, I'm just curious, do you never find outdoor clothing for cold weather, or is just because it isn't there, or is it invisible to you? I would think in some areas that people are moving to in droves, you should maybe find winter stuff now and then because people that move there might discover, okay, I don't need to hang on to my warm winter clothes anymore. But I'm just curious if you ever find them. I'm fortunate. I live in a 4-season climate. We have very warm summers with a lot of water sports and all of that, and then we have pretty cold winters with skiing and ice fishing and snowmobiling and all those things. So I can find any kind of clothes pretty much year round. So the next is a men's shirt brand. It is Mizzen and Main. Mizzen plus Main is how it's printed, but I would say Mizzen and Main. It has a very distinctive label, which I'll show you here. And it stands out for men's button-down shirts because it gets a good price very quickly. Their logo on their website says, ditch the dry cleaner for good with easy care clothing that never lets you down. So if you're familiar with what a performance fabric is, it's some of the best higher priced Nike stuff I would call performance fabric, or a really high quality golf polo. Performance fabrics tend to be moisture wicking, fast drying. They don't wrinkle. They perform, okay, for whatever activity. So Mizzen and Main uses a performance fabric in a dress shirt. So it's more comfortable because it's not, you don't have to starch it for it to look crisp and non-wrinkled. And they dry quickly. So, if you have a really sweaty meeting, you're fresh as a daisy within an hour or so. But performance fabrics in a dress shirt, and their retail prices are for $80 to $140. And I sold my Mizzen and Main shirt, the only one I've ever found, in the same day for $35. I had listed it for 35 and it was purchased right away. So 35 is really great if you've ever tried to sell men's dress shirts. Here's a brand that you've heard of. I had vaguely, but when I remembered it, like seeing it on a haul, it was so designery, I knew I would never find it. So I didn't really, stick it in my brain. And but when I saw the label, I thought, so this, do you ever look at hats? I always look at hats because a couple times I have scored big. Tilly hats is one example. I even look at the cheap paper sun hats because you just never know if it's Gucci. I don't know. But I always look at all the hats unless, I can tell some of them are junk. But if they're just ordinary, I check. So I saw this little floral sun hat, kind of a cross between a floppy hat and a bucket hat. And I thought it was cute. It had a very pretty print on it. And I looked inside and it said Zimmerman. And I thought, that seems familiar. So I looked it up and holy crap. I don't even know what the original retail was on a Zimmerman hat. So I looked around at the comps and I listed mine for $75 for an ordinary cotton sun hat. And in 4 days I got an offer of $65. And I said, okay, for a hat. So the moral of the story, even if you know Zimmerman, is always look at hats. The last item I think you should put on your bolo list, if you want to wander into that aisle, is a hard goods item. There are a few areas in hard goods that I check every time. And one of them is the crafts section. Sometimes I might see something that I want, but not very often. I have just enough of my sewing and needlework supplies to get me through a day. But I always look for new unopened needlework kits. They could be latch hook, little rugs or pillows. They could be needlepoint. They could be crewel. They could be embroidery. They could be cross stitch. And if you want to know what any of those look like, you can Google. But someday I'll do a quick rundown for you if you want. But most of the unopened needlework kits I find are vintage. Crafters are notorious collectors of supplies. And I won't say they're all hoarders, but some of them have a lot of supplies that they will never use up in their lifetime. And so when they or someone else cleans out their supply, frequently there are a lot of craft kits that never got opened. And what doesn't sell at the yard sale goes to Goodwill. And I have sold lots of craft kits for $15 or $20 when I only pay $1 for them. I have sold pretty high number of craft kits for $30 or $40, but the best is Dimensions Gold Collection. I mean, maybe not the very best, but always up there. Here's the label. So these will be like sealed in a plastic display with a picture of the item, how it would look when it's completed. But Dimensions Gold Collection kits are they're more complicated to do, so they require a higher level of expertise, and their artwork is more intricate. They have harder stitches, things like that. So I have only found 2. Last year, a horse scene that I sold for $81. This year, I sold this, a mother and baby artwork, kind of cross stitch, I think, for $70. So be on the lookout for Dimension Gold Collection kits. So those are my 5 things that I found this year that I think are be on the lookout, and they will always be on my bolo list. My real official bolo wish list. I wanted to pick things that I have a chance of finding. eBay has an interesting little tool, if you've never found it, on the search. So if you use eBay to look up comps, even if you're only a Poshmark seller, eBay comps can provide useful information to you. So, but when you do a search on eBay, you can add a filter for items within a certain number of miles of a particular zip code. So if you enter in, show me all the mother, we'll get to that. Show me all of the certain item that's available for sale within 25 miles of my zip code. And then you can see that other sellers in your area are finding that item. And then you can check comps, sold, of course. Or you could go to 50 miles. Or you could choose a city that you want to go thrifting in, put in that zip code within 10 miles. And then you'll see if those items are being found by other sellers who are in that zip code. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, leave a comment and I will try to make it more clear. So these are my top 5 things I'd like to find in 2024 in order of how hard they would be to find. At number 5, most likely on my list, is Viori. In the last 90 days, the day I did the research anyway, not maybe the day you're watching, but the day I did the research, 46 items by that brand have sold within 50 miles of me. And there are 26 for sale. Total of 72 in my local area. That's not a lot. And 50 miles includes the nearest large city to me that I probably go thrifting in 3 times a month, probably. So I could go a smaller area, and then that number would be even smaller. Okay, so I'd love to find Viori, and I think I will, because as a brand becomes more popular, it finally works its way through to the Goodwills and the other thrift stores. And just be warned, though, once Heidi finds it, the value will tank. So number 4 on my list is mother jeans. Never found those. I know Keegan finds them like he turns around and trips over them in the aisle at the thrift store. But in my area, within 50 miles of me, 39 pairs of mother jeans sold and 12 for sale. That's a total score of 51 in my hardness. So scale of how hard to find. I'm slightly optimistic. Slightly. Number 3 is Aviator Nation. The only reason that this brand is on my list is because Keegan wants to find it. And I want to find it before him. Yeah, I'm an evil old grandma. So there's no competition though, really. Within 50 miles of me, there are only 8 sold items of Aviator Nation and 14 for sale. So that's not a great sell-through rate, but it's good enough. Let's see. 8 and 14 is 22, so 30% sell-through. So that's a total score of 22, but this isn't about the sell-through rate. It's about finding it before Keegan does. Number 2 on my wish list, my bolo I'm always looking for, is Canada Goose. If you ever browse through the coats and you see this on a sleeve of a coat, this, grab it and go to the register. Don't worry about your baby. He'll be fine. Leave him in the cart. Get that jacket, go to the register, pay for it, go out to your trunk and lock it in there. Yeah, I don't care what condition it's in. I don't care what color it is. I don't care what size it is. If I find Canada Goose, it's mine. How much would I pay for a Canada Goose? How much should I pay for a Canada Goose? I don't know. I should be prepared to answer that question because, of course they're going to mark it up because it's a down coat. My Goodwills are not stupid. I doubt that a Canada Goose would ever get to my Goodwill because that's probably going to Goodwill.com somewhere. But okay, you'll be surprised because I live in a winter climate. There are 11 sold in my area and 11 for sale in my area and only 2 sold. But I believe in magic. And I think the reason that the sell-through rate is so lousy is because they're asking too much. Honestly, if you've had something more than 6 months and it hasn't sold and you think it's good, the price is too high. That's another thing I'm going to do for next year is make sure I'm not asking too much. Anyway, my number 1 bolo, the most difficult, unlikely to find in my area item from my promotional bolo list is Freebird. Maybe the cross between rocker and cowboy and biker in footwear just is less common around here. That's what they remind me of. If you took a biker, a rocker, and a cowboy, and you just, here's your boots, they'd say, thank you. There are only 8 for sale and 3 listed for a scarcity score of 11, which is even harder than Canada Goose. But you never know. Hopefully you will come back next year at this time to find out how I did. Happy hunting. Happy New Year. Bye, kids.